thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. All right, so we're gonna just dig right in. First question I want to ask you is, can you share your journey into real estate, and what inspired you to open CMB?
It's crazy. My story is just a little bit different from probably other people. I actually got into real estate because I was going through a really bad marriage. My husband was controlling. He was controlling my moves, my thoughts, just everything. It was so bad. I was working for a lending company as reception, a receptionist. And while I was there, sometimes he would call me and tell me to come home. This needs to be done. His car had broke down. He didn't care. And it was getting to the point I was so embarrassed that I said, you know what? I can't do this. So I ended up quitting after a while and I started looking for something where I can work from home. And I didn't think about lending because I had been told by the manager at the time who said that when I told her I was interested in becoming potentially a loan officer because I love the way they move, the freedom of their time. I was like, and I can spend time at home with my kids. I was excited about it. Well, she ended up telling me that I was probably not going to do well in lending because it was too fast paced for me. So she never gave me a chance. So that I just immediately, I just said, you know what? It's okay. Come to find out, truth be told, she was being investigated for discrimination with two other minority employees. And so when I found that out, I said, okay, that makes sense, but I was still turned off from the lending. So I decided to look for something at home, not realizing what it is. I just seen this big thing in the newspaper that says work from home. So I contacted them and ironically, it was a real estate company. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can work from home and sell real estate and still be with my kids. So I said, well, let me just try it and see. And that's how I got into real estate. It was almost, I don't want to say a fluke, but it was just, I needed something that I can stay home with my kids, still be there for them as their mom. I wanted to watch them grow up, be a part of everything that they were a part of. And real estate was the vehicle for me to do so.
That's it's very typical. You said it's not a typical story. Maybe the way it started wasn't typical, but
Correct.
so many women like yourself want the flexibility
Yes.
to, be able to be at home with their kids. And so I totally appreciate that. And of course, what you found out was it's really not that flexible. You have to be on 24/7, right?
Right. And you have to show up for houses and show houses. And I didn't think about that part, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. But it was definitely, it's been definitely worth it, which is how it's brought me to opening up my brokerage. My brokerage is CMB. And I tell people, because they're like, what is CMB? CMB is the initials of all of my children. It's Clifford Marquise, Cheyenne Monique, and Christopher Michael Burton. So I wanted to give them something because they're my heart. They're everything to me. So I wanted to give them something that had their name on it. And that was the best way to do it without having this long name. They have their initials with CMB Realty Services. But it goes back to me wanting to be at home and have the freedom and flexibility just on my own. And when I opened up CMB, it was because of the need of me feeling like I got a lot of stuff from different brokerages. I had been to probably about 9 brokerages before I opened my own office. And I wanted to be able to give agents something that I wasn't getting from one broker. I had one broker that did just about everything except training. But by this time, I'd been in the industry, I don't know, 15 years or so, and or 14 years. And he told me, he said, Kama, I don't do training. But I'll tell you this, he has been, if I needed something, he was there. He basically gave me almost everything. So when I opened my office, I wanted to give my agents everything that I wanted, which was support, education, training, visibility, to know that their broker is here and that they care.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about education and training because I know that's really important to you. What are the key lessons or the principles that you emphasize to agents who come to work for you or agents, whether they're seasoned or new to the industry and they want to advance their careers?
Well, one of the things I truly emphasize is know your contracts. I'm shocked how many agents that's been in the industry just as long as I have. I've been in the industry for 19 years. They still don't know and understand the contract. And I believe that purchase contract explains everything from A to Z of how the deal is to go. Now, will issues come up? Absolutely. where problems come up, sure, things are going to happen. However, if you can go back to that purchase agreement, you'll understand how to navigate or how and where to go to get your problem solved. So definitely understanding your contracts, your forms, and staying up to date with what's happening in the market. Yes, we're entrepreneurs, but there's so much that's happening in our industry because people don't understand how it works. Sometimes people are more focused on, I need to get the business. My question is this: when you get the business, how do you keep the business? How do you maintain the business? How do you stay in business? So those
Yeah.
are some of the key things that I definitely encourage people to do.
That's awesome. I mean, I think those are two of the biggest challenges I see with real estate professionals is, one is you're right, they don't know all the forms, they don't know all the contracts. And quite honestly, that's not their strength. I mean, they're people, right? They're
Right.
people. So the forms and all that, the contracts, the legalese and stuff, you know, they don't really want to get into that. So that's definitely something I see a lot. And also, you're right. Like, how do you not just get the business? How do you maintain it? How do you keep it?
Yes.
How do you, sustain it for the long term? I mean, that's all through relationship building, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about, you talked in the beginning about the lending business and how you experienced bias there. You are a certified trainer for the National Association of Realtors,
Right.
where you train real estate professionals on bias override and fair housing. So, what are some of the most common, I guess, biases in the industry that you have experienced or you see, and how do you advise your agents to overcome them?
Well, I would say for me, it's one of the biases, believe it or not, is a lot of my clients that I've dealt with in the past, some of them that I'm dealing with now, is down payment assistance. There are so many people out there that believe if someone gets down payment assistance, that means they don't qualify for a property or they can't afford a property. One of the things that I remind people is this: as long as you are pre approved for a deal, for a property, you're pre-approved. It doesn't matter where the money is coming from. The question is, can you close on the deal? And I deal with a lot of minority buyers. So if you look at the statistics, I was looking at some statistics under the National Association of Realtors, and it stated that about 11% of deals in, I want to say 2022, that came from down payment assistance were from Black borrowers. And I believe the next number was 9% for Hispanic, and it went down from there depending on the race and ethnicity. So those are one of the things that we deal with. And people tell you, some people, they don't want it. They don't want to show the property. They want somebody that has certain or have money or what have you. And it's a problem because people just want access to homeownership. Generational wealth it's important. And I will say, only because I've studied a lot, especially with our Black population, generational wealth was snatched from us, and now we're trying to. Myself and others are speaking about it. There are still people out there that has this mindset of it will never happen for me, so I'm not going to even try. So kind of changing that narrative and talking to people to let people know that regardless of what you think, is the person approved? Did their lender say yes? And can they close the deal? That's all that matters. And same thing with the people in my office. They're dealing with that as well as well, I won't say this is the bias, so I won't say that, but they are dealing with a lot of people that are dealing with the lower end of pricing, and they're needing the down payment assistance, and it's just not helping us when we're trying to write offers.
It's so frustrating. It's so
It is.
frustrating. It gives me goosebumps just to hear you talk about the realities of that in this day and age. I hate that it still exists.
It
Um,
does. And I want to share something with you. So one of my agents, and this is more of just to me blatant discrimination. And when you talk about a bias, so I want to say about a couple of months ago, back in 2023. So this is recent, okay? Very, very recent.
yeah.
My agent is out in the Palm Springs area, and he attends an open house that just so happened was on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was a weekday. He walks in because he has clients and investors that were looking in that area. The moment he walked in, it was a white female. The first thing she says is, this property is too high for your clients. When I tell you, I am so glad that wasn't me. And I'm so glad I wasn't close enough to go back. And I said, did you get the information? He said, boss, I just left. He always called me boss. Boss, I just left. I said, are you kidding
Oh
me?
my God,
There
no
was
way.
no hello. There was no, how may I help you? There was no, here's the information. It was, this home is too high for your clients. Do you know my clients? So that was so blatant. And like I said, this was 2023. We're not talking about 1950s, 1800s. We're talking about basically yesterday. So these are
Okay.
things that, yeah.
Wow. Like, can't
Yeah.
you, that's ethically wrong, right?
Oh,
Like,
completely.
I mean,
Oh, completely.
can you,
Completely.
I mean, we're on a podcast
You
here,
know,
but can you report
it's
that?
so,
Like,
I will tell
don't
you
let that
this.
go.
I don't know if we can report it only because how do we have proof when someone says something verbally? Unless he recorded it, she could have denied it. She could have said, well, no, he came in and said that his client was pre-approved for 300 and this home is 500. So it's so hard unless somebody puts it in writing. If they blatantly email you, text you, or verbally you have a recording, that's very, very hard to do. That's
And
what's harder.
I think in that moment, I would have been so shocked that somebody would speak to me that way that it would have caught me off guard. I wouldn't have known what to do. But in hindsight, like, I don't know, I would have turned on the audio record on my phone, or I would have asked more. I don't
What's
know.
hard?
That's just wrong. That's
It
so
is.
wrong.
It's so hard because when you're in the moment,
Yeah.
you really don't think about it. And that's what's so hard about it. I mean, I had this lady who wouldn't even let me in a new home build, me and my client back in 2022, because when I walked up, it was no hello. It was just, how may I help? No, not how may I help you? She looked at me. I said, hi, I'm here for my 4 o'clock appointment. No, I just said, I'm here to view the properties. She said, well, I have a 4 o'clock. I said, well, I am your 4 o'clock. I said, my name is Kama Burton. This is my client. We have a 4 o'clock. We are, and I said it like this because now I knew what was happening, what was going on. So we're standing outside. And I said, okay, are we going to go inside? Mind you, it's cold, it's drizzling. Are we going to go inside? Oh, we can't let anybody in because it was during the people were still not letting everybody right in. But if you had an appointment with this new home build, you were able to go in because she had just walked somebody out, literally. She wouldn't let us go in. She actually had us go. She went and got the paperwork. She brought it outside. Now it's drizzling. I'm writing on it and I am livid. We get into the property. She starts showing us around a little bit and then she just stops. Oh, you guys can just go and look at the property. So by this time, my client is saying, I don't have a good feeling about this. I don't, her back started hurting because she started getting stressed. She said, I need to sit down. And just in that moment, I said, don't worry about it. I will report her because this is discrimination. And I know they have, I know they can hear us. Within moments, the lady comes in. Is there anything else I can do to help you guys? If you need some, just her whole attitude changed. But it was more that happened in there. But I reported her because I said, I told the person, I said, I've worked with you. I brought clients to you. I've had you come and speak at events. And I said, this is not going to be tolerated. So I wrote a formal complaint against her in regards to that. And they tried to offer my client all types of stuff. She said, I will not even purchase from this company. And I have not showed property I've showed not in that particular one. I never show property again over there because of that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Unfortunately, like, you might have a client that wants a particular property and you might, because of that, need to work with somebody. But I think the most important thing about what I know about you, Kama, is that you don't take it. You don't tolerate it. You report it if need be. And more importantly than that is you're out there talking about this, not just to me. I know that you are speaking, you are on the circuit and you're talking about bias, you're talking about leadership, you're teaching your agents how to combat this. how
Yes.
to negotiate through it, how to deal with it, how to make sure that you're able to serve your clients
Yes.
and in a fair, unbiased way. And I think we need more people like you
Oh,
doing
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate that.
Everybody needs to
It's
stand
hard
up.
work, but
It's hard work. Absolutely.
yeah, ooh,
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's worth it.
I mean, what a legacy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
For your kids. Let's talk about leadership.
you.
Because I believe you're the first Black president of the Inland Association. So is that right?
I'm the first Black female president.
Even
Yep,
better.
of the Inland Valleys. Yes.
Even better.
Yes.
So
Yes, in 2022.
that's awesome. So what have been your biggest challenges and your tell me about some of your accomplishments as well since you've been in that role.
Well, I will tell you one thing that I find with leaders lead before they are in roles. I believe once you're president, there's not much more that you can do because you're in there, you're working, and you're out. So I believe that with me, one of the things that I started years before then, educating. I love educating. That's just what I do. And especially educating people in our industry. So, one of the biggest things that I wanted to do in 2022 was to make sure that I had continued to give the education and the information about the industry changes, whatever I can train on, whatever trainers I can bring in, so that we can stay educated at our association. So that's something that I did and I'm still doing. Actually, I have a few things already planned for this year. I did some things last year, collaborated with the California Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors. So I've done quite a few when it comes to that. But I will tell you, truth be told, I did not have too many barriers when it came to me being in leadership at my association. I hear a lot of things with other people, but my association has been so embraced. They have embraced me. They have supported me. They've allowed me to be free and open and bring the things to the association that I felt was good for the greater of our membership, because I don't serve for myself. I serve for the members. So they've been very supportive, literally in every single thing that I do. And I've had probably one of the best experiences going into leadership and coming out, because in 2024, I decided and beyond, I'm not going to be on the board because I wanted to open up my chair for someone else who needs it. And I was able to do so. And now I am just supporting my association in other ways.
You know what? I love that. Well, first of all, I'm so glad that you're having a leadership experience that's, potentially different from other women in your role. But what I also love that the way you said you're giving your chair to somebody else who can have that experience. I mean, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
because
That's
we
what
have
women
people.
do, right?
That's what we do. If we don't open up for someone else, again, this goes back to leadership. I believe, and I find that people tend to hold on to things because they don't believe enough in themselves that they can do better and greater in other capacities. I serve better when I can allow other people to work in their strengths. I
Yeah.
am a firm believer of that because there's times that people didn't open their seat for me. There's times where I was pushed aside. There was times I was looked over and not even a thought. And I never ever want that to be for anybody else. I don't have to hog everything. There's enough in me. There's enough to do for me that I can get out there. I can lead and my voice can still be heard. In a way, I
Mhm.
can attend my board of directors meeting if I so choose and say, look, I don't agree with something or highly agree with something. It's open. But
Mhm.
that's if I really, really need to push a point and they feel like they're not agreeing on something for whatever reason, I can do that. But I can
Yeah.
do that without saying I'm sitting in this chair to do so. So I just
Oh,
figure, why not give somebody else a chance?
I love that. I love that. I mean, that is true leadership, really.
Yeah,
It is.
thank
It's
you.
giving others the ability to rise
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have their voice be heard. And I love when you say, I don't need to be in this seat to have my voice be heard. You're right. You're right. You don't need to be in a leadership role. You don't to lead. Anybody can lead, right?
That's right.
Um, let's talk about mindset, because one of the things I love about you is um, when you get on lately, it's been in your car.
Yes.
Months ago, you were walking and you would say, walk with me, and you would go live. And a lot of that it was all around mindset in both business and life. And I know
Yes.
that that is a big part of what drives you, what helps you to overcome. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how does it shape your overall philosophy? How does it shape your decision making? How does it shape your attitude? How does it help you get through things? Talk a little bit about mindset.
Well, after my divorce, I was really depressed. And what we feel and what we say we are, that's just what we are. And it was not in a good, I wasn't in a good place. It didn't feel good to know that I didn't feel like getting up to go work. I didn't feel like getting up to go wherever. The only thing, honestly, I felt like getting up to do was go to church. That was it. Everything else, I would just be at home. I would say no to a lot of things. And I was just so down on myself. And it just didn't feel good. And it was like all that did was continue to keep me down.
Yeah.
And after a while, when I understood the importance of affirmations, it changed my life, literally changed my life. So every time I felt like I was not beautiful, when I didn't feel like I was loved, when I didn't feel like I was seen, I didn't feel like I was heard, I would literally look at myself in the mirror and I would tell myself, you're beautiful, you're loved, you're successful, people care about what you have to say. And I would do this literally, tears streaming down my eyes, although I don't believe it in my heart, but I'm verbally saying it. And I did this for years until it got to a point, finally, I just said, you know what? I do love myself. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am successful. And ever since that started happening, my life started changing. So it was easier for me to get out the bed. No money in the bank, negative, overdrawn on everything. Every credit card I had, if I had one, was all the way over the top. Credit's bad. I didn't care. I figured this too shall pass. So I began to tell myself positive things, listen to positive people. One of the people that I listened to forever who helped me with this was Les Brown. And if you guys don't know Les Brown, YouTube him, Google him. Les Brown talked about his story, but his voice, the things that he said, it would just resonate. I felt like he was talking to me. And I realized that he said this quote, he said that if you fall on your back, if you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that's what happens. We fall on our back, right? We're just like, oh my gosh. But then if you can look up, you can see everything around you to see that you are needed and that you are wanted in this world. And then I started having people pour positive stuff in me and telling me, oh, Kama, you're this and you're that. And I'm like, what do these people see in me? Because I don't see this. But slowly but surely, I started seeing myself, and I'm still struggling with some stuff. But I'll tell you this, as long as I have breath in my body, I cannot complain. There's people that cannot move. There's people, I know a young lady that's in her 20s right now. She had a seizure a few months ago, back in 2023, she had a seizure. And to this day, her whole life is gone. She can't do anything. She's in a home. She can't move. She will never have a life. So why do I feel like even if I'm having a bad day, that I have to show everybody that I got to tell myself that this too shall pass. So those are the things that I do. I just feel like when you have a positive, those things, think those things as though they were. So when you have a positive mindset, you're going to have a positive day. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah, I love that. So what happens though when you're having a bad day? Like, how do you shift that mindset?
What I normally do, for one, I try to keep quiet to myself. I start working, and literally when I start working, I love working. I love working. So I start working, and I remember, that there's so much greater and better. I start thinking about what I've done in the past to get myself out of it. Or
Yeah.
I'll give my friends a call to say, look, it's just what it is today. Or how are you? I'm not good. This is what I'm dealing with. And then I have friends that'll talk me into positivity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. I love that. I love taking walks with you when you're live on Facebook. So get back to
I
that.
will. I will. I promise you I will.
um, the last question I have for you before we start to wrap up is I want to talk about the Loving Me First initiative. I think it's kind of a natural segue to what we were just chatting about. It's your nonprofit.
Yes.
And like number one, that you created a nonprofit is just astounding to me. It's amazing. Tell me about it. What kind of impact is it having, and who do you serve? And what kind of impact is it having on the community?
Sure. So Love Me First started because of me going through everything that I had explained. And I realized that I had to love myself first and know myself first before I can truly, now I won't say before, but I just need to love myself first. Because if I'm taking care of everybody else and loving everybody else and I'm not loving myself, I'm going to stay miserable. And that's what was happening. I made sure everybody around me was taken care of and I didn't take care of me. So I decided that when I realized that when you love who you are first, it's that much harder for somebody to say something negative, for somebody to treat you wrong and you just take it because people are going to be people. It doesn't mean that I will never be treated wrong. People will always be nice to me, but I know how to handle myself because I know who I am, because I love who God has created. So from that, originally, I wanted to help those that were affected by domestic violence, both directly and indirectly, because I looked at myself and I looked at my kids. My kids were indirectly because they had to witness and see some of the things that we went through. But God took it another way where I am now mentoring young girls to help them build self-esteem because that's where it starts. You help someone build their self-esteem at a young age. If you can start early, then they can be able to do those things that they want in life. They can be more happy in life earlier, sooner than later than some of us have been. So I serve girls from elementary school, so fourth grade up to 12th grade. And what we do is we put on events in the community. We put on seminars and workshops so that we can just continue to pour into our girls. And we have a mentorship program where we're contracted through a couple of the local school districts where when I say we, my daughter helps me, Cheyenne, matter of fact, she's probably, she does this. We have 8 schools we're in. She does this so 8 times a week for an hour that she goes in and she teaches the girls how to build self-esteem. She actually went through my program when she was in high school.
Oh,
So
wow.
the program started because of her and the drama that was happening in high school. And she was like, Mom, I wish you could share the stuff that you share with me. And an opportunity opened. And so we brought it. And now she is the mentee who is helping the girls as I work on some other things to help us build.
So how long has it been in place?
We have been around for 8 years, 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
I think we're in our 9th year or 8th year this year. Yeah. Now,
And
Loving Me First has been around 10. Oh, no, we're in our 9th year because Loving Me First, we're going to be celebrating 10 years next year, which we're already working on. We're celebrating 10 years next year. And yes, we are in our 9th school year with the mentorship.
oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. So how can we support it? Is there a place to donate money?
Yes, yes. You can go to Loving Me First, and it's the first is spelled out. Now our name is Loving Me First, one ST, but with the website is Loving Me First spelled out .org, and you can go in there and donate. We take all types of donations from, of course, monetary is always great. If somebody says, you know what, I want to send a certain amount of money and sponsor, a month because we feed the girls as well, and that comes out of our pockets. So monetary is always great. You can also, if there's some things you want to send on Amazon, we can send you a list of things that we may need. We do affirmations and vision boards with the girls. So we supply certain things. We give them a self-care kit, usually towards the end of the school year, where we'll give them like deodorants and just little stuff, that lotion, pens, like a little self-care / emergency kit. So donations of those as well. So anything, and you can do the contact us and I respond pretty quickly.
Oh my God, that's awesome. And so when do you sleep?
I sleep every night at really good from about midnight to 7 o'clock.
Oh my God, I adore you.
Yeah.
So what 3 pieces of advice would you want to leave our community with? Because we talked about a lot. We talked about fair housing. We talked about leadership. We talked about education. We talked about mindset, giving back. What are the 3 biggest things you want to leave our community with?
For one, I want to encourage other people to love who you are first. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter your title. It doesn't matter anything. None of that matters. Because when you love who you are first, you become a better person for not only yourself, but the people around you. The next thing I would say is empower others. Life is not about you. It's about empowering others in different capacities to encourage them and recognize them for what it is that they do. So that way they can go and be a better person as well. And the last thing I would say is educate yourself. Education is key. Knowledge is key. And when you stay educated and you stay focused, it just takes you to different levels. It makes you feel good and confident about who you are, what you're doing. And again, it just supports you and those that are around you as well.
Oh, those are great. Those are great words of advice. Okay, last thing. Finish this sentence.
Mhm.
Know, like, trust is.
Know, like, trust is everything.
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 Yeah. Kind of sums up your 3 pieces of advice,
Yeah.
It's love, it's empowerment, it's, knowledge. It's awesome. Kama, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure as always, and you have made my day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate this time.
absolutely. And for everyone who is listening, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Know Like Trust for Real Estate. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao.